So it's sunset. SOULiloquies. California's on fire. And the ocean and the wind doing their thing. I don't know if it's moving the fire into the more of the places that it's going. Santa Cruz is swallowed up, and Bonnie Doon, and that's in that direction, down the one, curving into flames. And I'm home in this place that I'm disassembling, and I can see the people coming who might claim it as their own, and that feels so delightful, like to know the truth of things, you know, when the structure doesn't burn up or get torn down or fall into the ocean, then it gets to keep being its home. It gets to be being home. Whereas climate crisis has been for all of my life. And each year of the 6 or so that I've spent here at the left coast edge of America, this fire season thing, it does something, you know? The cliffs are letting go. How long ago was that? 3 or 4 years? And today, these places are falling again into flames. There's a dream that's dreaming us, you know? And I like to be dreamed. I like to be in dreams. I was in a dream today at work. We tried to have a virtual dance party, and we did it. And there's this wonderful person who's willing to do the DJing and dance. And then there's another wonderful person who was like all in her clinical gear in the lab dancing. And I was dancing against the backdrop. I always put a backdrop up. I think because my house is so groovy and these people are so new. I've never actually met in the physical any of them. And I'm not sure how much of me to be. But I danced against this Zoom background, and I had this flowy thing, and sometimes I would disappear into the background, and then I would reappear as this energy dancing. And at some point I put on my hat, my Beth's work hat, which I bought for my boss to wear, and she refused, so it became my own. Right about this time, however many years ago that was, right? Where in time are we exactly? Are we on the edge of the story, the dream that reawakens our commitment to the earth, and we get to stay here, stay embodied, keep making humans, keep loving one another, keep learning how to love? Or is she gonna shake us off, you know? I watch as that last little bit of light goes out. I think of the words of my next president, and how much I want to believe in the dream that he brings alive. Biden and Harris for 2020. The words they use, the love they embody, the feelings I get when I listen to them, the power and beauty of what they're imagining and inviting me back into. I like those words so much more than the words I've heard for the last 4 years of California wildfire. The air quality is bad and I should close the door. But I don't know how many days I get to open and close this one, you know? In the moments where transition invites something else, you know, the contemplation of what is not anymore, what it was. What do you make up to step into? I am making up a world where Joe Biden and Kamala Harris get to be President and Vice President of the United States of America, that the United States gets to reclaim some of its standing in the world and to look harshly and clearly at what it will not continue to reimagine as racism in the world. If we could solve hate, oh, if humans could solve hate, I don't think she'd shake us off so fiercely. Taking down the family parts and getting ready for all the Facebook marketplace action. And the friends of mine who are coming for furniture don't have houses anymore. Some of their houses have been consumed by the fire. This in a different time, I might light this one on fire for all the ways that I could remember all the shitty things that human beings have done to one another, that entitled men have done to women since the beginning of defining oneself as man or woman, and having to live into somebody else's ideas of what that is, and having to assign love in a particular kind of body for another particular kind of body, and to assign sets of behaviors in such a way that people can act out their inhumanity on one another. That's what I think the last 4 years have been doing to the earth. What has been done to women's bodies since the beginning of Christian time. And if we keep going back, there are atrocities every time we invent a God who gives us permission to do shitty things to one another because we invent a morality that permits power over. I think that's what happens when you put the gods in the sky. There's some idea that the sun and the moon aren't in us all. But of course they are. I'm going to bend and plug it in. And invite the waters, the water with its memory, to light the way for what comes next in the world. Where we let all the babies out of cages, and we help the mothers and fathers who have combined to create the children that are all of ours, that are humanity's children. And I pray that we figure out how to let them educate us as we give up the rules for whatever got us here. In pursuit of the saltwater goddess, this one is also made out of water and ancestors and white roses and electricity and silver wire and recovered branches that had already fallen off the living tree. Whatever else there is, there's something between this and that that combines to make something possible. Something called life, I think. Can't do it without each other. We can't do it without the earth and air and fire and water and the salt in the water and all the life and death that finds its way to that gyre of churning plastic and moving clouds. If that is wind, and it looks like it, right? That is to fan the flames and burn more of our dwelling spaces up so that we will be totally exposed to the elements of our humanity and our inhumanity and our interdependent need for one another. The new moon is in Leo. I think she's 1 day old. There is work to be done, but the work is love. And love is supposed to feel good. Can we love somebody whose house went up in flames? Or love somebody who doesn't get to be at the funeral for the person that they love, who passes away from COVID in the wrong place at the wrong time. But this is not that. This is not the wrong place at the wrong time. This is still the left coast edge of what is left of America. And we are still here. Houseless, homeless, rehoming. Moving toward a more just and interdependent world where we acknowledge the need to hold hands and stick together and get through these things. waxing philosophical here at the end of my time in this place. At the end of the journey to Saltwater Goddess and Breonna Taylor. And ecological truth and American politics and geopolitical suicide. Let's not commit that, shall we? Let's get the babies out of the cages. Let's make it okay for people to love one another, stick together, and take care of one another. Let's remember that we have a part to play. Our part of an American democratic experiment in the world. Can the people we are rise up and speak for one another, for the love we need to keep us alive? All life depends on it. All life, everywhere. Blessings on our ability in this moment to rise, to embrace what is still possible as life on earth.